If you enjoy the content of this channel, you want to support me, by all means, please continue your prayers, subscribe, like, comment, and share. And as always, continue your prayers. So let's begin. So there was this video kind of gone a little bit viral about 36-year-old man who he struggles with not having any friends or any support. Alhamdulillah for Islam. So we're going to see how I'm going to show kind of like how the West is pretty much failing men and just failing in general. So without further ado, let's just begin.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? So it's been just over 3 years since I posted my first video on here about having no friends. And these videos are about exactly as uncomfortable as they were back then when I was 32, almost 33. And I just turned 36 a little over a month ago. So I think now is a better time than ever to give an update, specifically addressing, the last few years. Have I built friendships between that time? How has life gone in general in that time? And to kick it off, just in full transparency, unfortunately, over the last 3 years, again, not for a lack of effort, but I have failed to establish any very meaningful friendships, in person at least. And it's for a multitude of reasons. And this isn't going to be a video like the first one that was as self-deprecating or as, I'm not going to grovel as much, or I'm not sure how to put it. I definitely have learned a lot about myself over the last few years. So if anything, this is more like a reflective video. But I do want to lay that out front. And this is not any sort of pity party or anything like that. But yeah, we'll just jump right into it. So I think one of the main reasons, I guess there's multiple reasons that we've discussed before about why it's challenging for me to build friendships. And over these last few years, thanks to a lot of comments I've gotten, a lot of DMs and things, and thank you to everybody who's, tried helping out a little bit. A lot of these reasons stem from, really early in life. And I think, unfortunately, I've had a mindset for a long time where I thought I could outwill or be tougher than the feelings that I've had about myself, about any shortcomings I have, insecurities, any of those things. I thought I could just outwork all of those things. And a little bit after the pandemic, that's really when things started to come to light about, I guess, how I feel about myself. It was just hard to say.
Alhamdulillah, that's something a lot of people in the West have been expressing lately. And I just thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for Islam and the Quran and our Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, and the Ummah as a whole, because we are taught from the words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that we are not just friends, that we're brothers. We are truly brothers and sisters, and we are to want for our brother what we want for ourselves, and beyond that as well on there. So when you have that mindset on, everybody that enters, everybody that's around us, that it is family and not just a metaphorical family. No, we are family. That is my brother. That's somebody I need to protect and love and support at all times. And I just, in contrast to what, this problem where man now are just walking around with no meaning, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has shown us what our meaning of life is in the Quran, and it's giving us a family, the Ummah, to support us, to lift us up, to be there for us, alhamdulillah, which is why Islam is just so powerful.
And it's sad to say. But I think this is going to be another rambling video, which is unfortunate, because I wish I could put it a little more eloquently, or put it into a neat little pyramid or box. But yeah, I think I'm still struggling now with the same things that I struggled with like many years back. As far as like not self-sabotage, somewhat, I guess. Um, Definitely overanalyzing things, which has grown over the years. And like it's self-perpetual, like I'm causing this issue and it keeps growing and growing and growing. And sometimes it will cool down and then it comes back up. Like most recently, it's been I've been having issues with it for like a while now. To be candid, probably 6+ months. And it's challenging because now more than before, I understand why I feel the way I feel, why I overanalyze things. All, which is interesting because I almost prefer to be a little more like blissfully ignorant, if that makes sense, to where, yeah, I still thought I was different than the majority of people. I still thought something was, wrong with me. I did definitely still think poorly of myself in certain ways, and I was an overthinker for sure. Maybe not to this degree, but I think all of that was like probably at least 50% less annoying. I don't know how else to put it. Now that I know why I feel the way I feel, although that should make you feel a little bit better and give you some sort of comfort, which it does at times. Honestly, it's just more frustrating because it's like I know all of these things that I need to do. I know how to make friends. Like if I really put effort into it, it's just I just get in my own way, to be honest.
Alhamdulillah, that's why we have the Quran. That's why we have our 5 prayers. See, when you start humbling yourself 5 times a day to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you put your forehead to the ground and you're looking for guidance and you know what is the purpose of your existence, then you no longer have to worry about how you feel because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, what He has forgiven, it is forgiven. It's behind us, no longer to talk about, and the discipline, the lifestyle of being a Muslim, alhamdulillah, leads us to not just know ourselves better because why? Allah knows us better than anybody else. And He knows what's good for us. And then on top of that, He gives us the ummah. He gives us the ummah so we can continuously uphold each other, be accountable for each other, and as well have a true family. Whenever if your families are not around, if your brothers are not around, you have brothers. You will always have brothers. Any mosque you go to, that no skin color, nothing, none of that stuff matters. You're a Muslim, you're a brother. They will be there for you. They will lift you up, alhamdulillah, and they will help you become better. And how they will help you, alhamdulillah, they will remind you of the Quran. They will remind you of the Sunnah of our Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, and the message in the Quran. And that will, alhamdulillah, just make you a better person. And you will have friends, you will have a family, no matter where you go to. And you will have a purpose in life, alhamdulillah.
And I think it's tied to overthinking and some sort of social anxiety for sure. And then I feel like I get caught in the same cycle of thinking, well, I'd rather do things by myself because sometimes I would. But I also think that's a cop out that I've kind of established over the years because I'm used to doing so many things without friends. There's so many reasons. It's challenging. But I'll explain the overthinking part. And this like spills into friendships for sure. But this impacts my whole life. And I don't.
And he mentioned something about doing things by yourself. I mean, when you go to Friday Yumna, you're praying together. You're constantly doing something with the ummah, with your brothers. We give to charity. We're helping each other, and that builds that what he's missing, that doing things by himself. Alhamdulillah. That's really what he needs. I invite him to Islam. I invite him to look into it. I want him to go to any mosque and just see the difference. See that what he is missing has been there all along.
think people know the degree to which it does, but most of the day, even right now making this video, if I'm at work especially, or if I'm talking to anybody really, I have an inner monologue going on almost the whole time. So it's at least, let's say 10 hours out of the day, to be realistic, I'm overthinking what I'm saying as I'm saying it. This is especially obvious when I'm at work and I'm giving a presentation or I'm walking through, a new work stream or whatever I'm doing. I'm spending most of that time thinking about what I'm saying and thinking how maybe stupid I look or how I sound weird. Like I've always had this weird thing where I think that I don't know how to put it. I think that I can't speak well. And I think a lot of that stems from me being very quiet when I was younger and modeling the behavior of, like my dad, for instance, who is very quiet and meek. And I think that even while I'm talking, I feel so much imposter syndrome, whether that's at work or with a group of people. And although I'm pretty confident over everything I've learned the last few years, that no one is really seeing that. And this is all literally in my head. And I'm sure a lot of you can attest to understanding that feeling.
I had kind of the same problem growing up as he does, alhamdulillah. And that inner monologue, conversations, those whispers of the shaitan, bring you down to, veer you to a different path. But alhamdulillah, the more I gave myself to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the more I prayed, the more I humbled myself to him, and just kind of filled my head with the teachings of the Quran and our Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him. The inner monologue changes. I still sometimes think I sound weird. I'm not able to communicate properly, but then I just say, alhamdulillah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made me this way. And it's for a reason. He's the best of planners. So, who cares? What does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala think of me? He thinks I'm perfect. Thinks, I am the way I need to be, alhamdulillah. He doesn't think of me any differently. And that, at the end of the day, is really all that matters. It's just so beautiful just being a Muslim and being a part of the Ummah, alhamdulillah.
Which is unfortunate because I'm almost having three things happening in parallel with each other. Like one, I'm speaking audibly. Two, I'm in my own head basically telling myself all the things I'm saying incorrectly, or if I'm not using the correct verbiage or something. There's so many different elements to it, but so those are happening. Then I have a third one now since I've learned more things. So this is the frustrating part. I have another voice, which is a more productive version of myself, reminding myself that I'm self-sabotaging and the things I'm thinking about myself aren't true and that people aren't thinking these things. So not only am I talking out loud, I'm having like a old, younger version of myself saying all the negatives and the doubts and all those things. Then I have a nicer version of myself, a more mature version who sees things as they are, telling that version that, I don't know, everything's okay, that I'm normal, that my point is coming across, I'm speaking well. Like, it's constantly those two battling. And it happens, like I said, for the majority of the day in most conversations. Sometimes I can break out of that and not think much, and that's nice. But honestly, oftentimes I'm overthinking or talking to myself while I'm talking, which is really frustrating. And I'd like to understand more about like how to cool that inner monologue down.
Alhamdulillah, you want to cool that monologue down. Um, put your forehead through the ground and ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for the change that you need. Humble yourself to Him. You have the shaitan whispering things to you, negative things to you. And alhamdulillah, Allah sends help, in a different way, steering you away from that. So I will say, brother, all you need to do is embrace Islam, you know, read the Quran, listen to his recitations, and you'll see the peace that will come in whatever environment you're in, whatever that is being heard. Alhamdulillah. So I think that it's so easy, it's so simple to find what you need. Alhamdulillah for Islam. Hope this brother, you know, starts researching and looks into Islam.
Because like the one benefit I would say is I'm self-sabotaging myself with like relationships or friendships, like work relationships and friendships, and getting in my own way. But it hasn't slowed my career down at all, which I'm very proud about. Like I have progressed in my career like year after year after year for the last 8 years. And I've climbed the corporate ladder, 9 different roles. So I think the other part of it too is like the other part of not having friends. Sorry if this is like dragging on. This is a terrible video, but I think that I got so focused on self-improvement and breaking like a generational cycle of essentially poverty and things like that, that I've spent like the last, let's say 13, 14 years, like so dedicated and focused on becoming a better version of myself that I've self-improved myself out of friendships and like any feeling of normality. I don't care how like much that's helped me progress in my career, because it hasn't helped me feel better socially or hasn't helped me like relax at a monologue or any of those things.
Yeah, the West wants you to believe that money and titles are going to bring you peace of mind, that's just going to give you this fulfillment. But alhamdulillah, the only fulfillment that you ever get is when you follow Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You follow his law and his commandments. And that is the only way that you're going to be able to fill that void. Because that void can only be filled with Allah. And it's like a trap that people find themselves in when they're constantly working because they believe money and things are going to give them, and the title are going to give them that peace that they need and want. And we see many millionaires self-delete themselves, have broken homes, terrible relationships, they have their sons and daughters don't speak to them. Alhamdulillah for Islam. When you separate yourself from the dunya, you separate yourself from the world and these lies that they're feeding you, and you just follow Allah, you'll see that, yeah, you still climb those ladders on it, but you already had the peace of mind that you needed. You already have the fulfillment that you needed. Alhamdulillah.
And it's a bummer to think that for 3 years, I still feel like I'm basically back to square one from like a friend's perspective. And that's, again, that's unfortunate. And it's something that I still want to take time to figure out. And I am actively trying to hang out with people. But I always find like an excuse or reason, like after hanging out like one time, why like I don't want to hang out again, or why I just want to do things myself. And it's very frustrating. Especially as like a 36-year-old, and life goes by so fast. Like the last 3 years, it's insane how quickly that went by. And to think in those 3 years, not that much has changed in that area of my life is hard to admit. And as you get older, without a doubt, it is more challenging for sure to find and maintain friendships. And in no way is that a cop out. I still take responsibility. Like, if that's something that I want, I have to prioritize it. But at the same time, it's challenging. Like, anybody who is in their late 30s, who has a career, and who has a spouse, and responsibilities, like the majority of every day is taken up. I mean, right now it's 7 p.m. So I worked all day. I went to the gym. Now it's 7. I'm gonna have to have dinner. Things like weekdays are so constrained. And then I do have the weekend, but unless you can get a friend to hang out consistently throughout the month, you might only see like a new friend 12 times a year. Compared to when you're younger or in college, I was typically seeing people at least daily, which is helping with my social anxiety too, because I was talking to people. It wasn't work related. It was just about life in general.
Alhamdulillah. Thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for Islam. I invite that brother to come to look at Islam, come inside dunya, where we'll inside the ummah of the prophet, to forget about the dunya, forget about the world, forget about all this, lies that's been feeding you, and embrace Islam, embrace a brotherhood that will care and love for you. I'm in my 40s. I have no problem making friends. I see my brothers and sisters. They text me, I text them. I see how they're doing. How's life? How's your family? It's not about just hanging out. It's just about having conversations. I, even in other areas, doesn't there were no. I have friends who are non-Muslims who I treat them, with love and respect as well. My daughter's best friend's father. We talk while they're hanging out. We're there chaperoning, ensuring that our daughters are protected, and we talk about life. We talk about the past, our backgrounds. Alhamdulillah, you know. But you have that interaction on a day. You will. If you find Muslim community, you'll find brothers who will constantly reassure you, see how they're okay during Ramadan. Our beautiful sisters, they fed us, so we, while we were fasting, we came together. The men, of course, we were on our own spot, and we uplifted each other after prayers. We prayed until nighttime. It was until about 11 o'clock at night, and then we talked to each other how we were doing. How's Ramadan fasting? Is there anything we could do? And we came there, prayed. Some of us pray there every day. All 5 time prayers in the mosque. Some of them came when they could because of work, but we came back. How are you doing, brother? How's everything? Because we're there for each other at all times. We care for each other. We love each other because that's what Allah wants us to be. That's how Allah wants us to interact, not just with us, with the world. He wants us to interact with our neighbors, care for them, be nice to them. Alhamdulillah. I think that's what his brother needs. He needs Allah. He needs Islam. He needs to put his forehead to the ground and just be embraced by Allah. And I think his life will change. Alhamdulillah. I hope this brother gets better. I hope this brother finds Islam and embraces, the Ummah, as the Ummah will embrace him. Alhamdulillah. Hope you guys like this video. Let me know what you guys think. Subscribe, like, comment, and share. And as always, continue your prayers and continue to pray for our brother right here. Alhamdulillah. Peace.